Hi, I'm Tim, welcome to the channel. Today's project is related to the last video, which is the fish tank video. If you haven't seen that cool, awesome driftwood fish tank, go and check that out at the end of the video. But today, a little woodworking project. We're gonna get some rustic old scaffold plank and build ourselves a lid for it. Okay, so it's a fairly simple one as far as the design goes. I was going to try and do it in cork, so it looked like the cork in a bottle, kind of, and we're going to use that sort of theme, but I couldn't find cork thick enough anywhere, or certainly not in the small quantity I needed. So the plan is to use some rustic sort of old weathered scaffold board, and then we're going to build a circular stopper like you'd see on the top of a cookie jar, just so it's kind of a rustic bung. And we need to do that in obviously the right shape and the right size, but also it needs to house an LED light and all the leads and air pump and all that stuff that goes down into the tank itself. So there's a little bit of fiddling to do, but the plan is that. One day I might explain what on earth happened here. It was a monumental failure of a project. It does need to be done again, and maybe I'll feature some of the outtakes in that video, but let's clear this all away and then we can get started. Okay, let's make a start. So this is one of those bits of timber that's been hanging around, and I've had a project in mind for it a few times and never used it, so now's the time to cut a slice off and we'll make something from it, and there'll be plenty left for a rustic shelf or something in the future. Okay, so where it sits down onto the glass, we need a nice flat surface, although the glass is hand blown actually, so there's a bit of a slope on it, but it'll be good to start with the flat surface. And of course I could whack this straight through the planer, but then we've got the risk of grit and stuff. You know, this is a scaffolding board and they've got years and years of grit and mortar and stones off people's boots in there. Okay, our compass isn't big enough, therefore we need to go old school and find a paint tin that measures somewhere near what we need, which is 165. A little bit too small. Whoa! The hot dog tin wins. Okay, we'll come back to that later because we may well end up cutting another circle for the inside of the tank. So that's the circle done. It's pretty flat. I'm happy with how it is. If we need to skim a little bit off the bottom to make it sit tight, then that's fine, we can do that. Next I want to curve it. I don't really want to use the router because it'll end up a little bit too perfect, so I'm just going to use the sander and get it a little bit more random. I think that's kind of something along the lines of what I was after. I've sanded the bottom a little bit flatter, and that means we can mount our next circle to there. But as far as the top goes, I'm quite happy to leave it like that, and that way it kind of matches the base of the tank. I want to do as much of this as I can mechanically rather than mess around with aging it or dyeing it, because of course it's going to be above the fish tank. So the wire brush worked a little bit, but I'm going to try using the heat gun just to kind of smoulder it a little bit and burn it off, just so it darkens a bit. Right, that's looking pretty freshly baked. I'm going to leave that as it is now. Again, the reason why I'm doing all this by mechanical and heat is because I don't want to use any other ways of methods. You can use things like, I think it's vinegar and rusty or kind of rusted steel wool and things like that to age things. And likewise, I could have burnt this with a blowtorch, but I didn't have one to hand. So that's why I've gone the way I've gone. Once this is cooled down, we can get mounting another circle underneath, which is what's going to sit down inside the fish tank. Alright, I've just been in to try it. It's fine diameter wise, but this is just looking a little bit chunky on top of the tank because it's quite simple, the tank. So what I'm going to do is, rather than put our additional circle on the bottom of this to sit inside the aperture of the glass, I'm gonna carve this so that it sits down inside, so the outside rim of this will be shallower. Alright, that's dinner over, kids in bed, so it's time to get the router and kind of see if we can freehand this. I'm sure there's lots of ways we could do it more precisely, but it's a rustic, a little lid for a fish tank, and I'm not going to spend ages making a jig or rigging up the router table or anything like that. So let's try and do the best we can. I just need to set the depth of the light itself, which is 20 mil. So I think we're pretty much there with the main shape now. Well, it's quite a bit lighter, and it still feels like it's got the strength. You know, it's not going to warp and split, I don't think. It's bound to move a little bit, but so there's a little bit of finesse to do, and I also want to round the bottom of that, and we'll burnish or burn the bottom of this as well to darken it. I think that's going to go in pretty snug, so I'm going to check it for size now before I get any further. Make sure it looks the part, and then we can get finishing. Okay, so the temporary lampshade lid comes off. So there's actually 3 leads going in. There's a thermometer, digital thermometer as well. So I need to just rig those together to keep them tidy so they come up in a fairly discreet place, and then we'll line that up with the new lid. going to be tight. I'm going to try and do it friction fit rather than use any adhesives, because I'm sure that's not particularly good for fish. I think we're going to need to do a bit of trimming. I know. Well, after a relatively poor woodworking start to the afternoon on the other project, this has worked out pretty well. Unfortunately, the light itself isn't particularly good. I wanted a whitish light that's fairly natural. These stone LEDs, as far as I could see, only come in a pure blue, but like proper vivid blue, or this one, which is a multicoloured, you know, RGB. Whereas if it had all been white, it would have been ideal. But we'll see how it goes. I've ordered a blue one, which I'll probably end up sending back. It happens to be the same size anyway. All I've got to do now is I'm going to finish it just very lightly with some of the natural linseed oil, flaxseed oil. It's not the boiled stuff, it's got no chemicals in, it's just really old school, out the garden shed at Joe's grandpa's. It's just old linseed straight out the bottle. I'll put a little fine coat of that. It's only going on the outside surface anyway, but that's what I did on the driftwood root part of the tank as well, so that should tie it all in. I mean, look at that bottle. I mean, that's classic. Beautiful. So we need to get an extension lead to neaten everything up, so you won't actually see all this, it will be hidden behind. So there's a bit of a curve to the top of the glass, but I think that's pretty good where it is there. It slots in nicely, and there's a good bit of air space there, but of course all the air bubbles are coming through, so I think that's alright. We've got line. So the fish seems to like it, Bobby the fish. And he's certainly staying at the top now, which shows off his colours. So like I said, the LED bulb that's in there, or the cluster of lights, is one of the ones that comes with one of these little cheapy remote controls. So that is the white, and it's not pure white, but it's a combo of all the other colours, I guess. The blue, which would have been the brighter option, would look like that, but it would be a brighter version of that. I think that's a little bit too space age. So I think I'll be leaving the remote control out of the hands of the girls, otherwise he's going to end up with a disco. I will trial that spare, or the additional light tomorrow, to see how much it makes a difference. The camera makes it look a little bit brighter than it is, but you know, this might be as good as we can get for now. So thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.